they got nailed a few times, shut down, and then reopened in the middle 30s by Ricardo's. Was Ricardo's restaurant till maybe the early 90s. And this is where all the swell entertainment people came. Milton Berle, Carol Channing.
Did Bix play here?
No, I don't. Well, Bix may have come here, but we don't have any evidence that he actually played here.
He must have been here, yeah.
Certainly, because it's the north side. This is where they broke the color barrier. The first black musicians to play north of the Loop played here. It took them a hell of a long time to play in the Loop at Valentino's, and this is north of the river. This was the white man's territory. Black Musicians Union had south of the river, or south of the Loop, actually. So how they got here, look, Baby Dodds, Johnny Dodds were here for 4 or 5 years.
Wow. Oh, okay.
Dominique Keppard was here a couple of years, and then he got fired. I mean, he used to drink like a fish, as they say.
Who was talking?
So Phil, what's left here of what was there before?
Well, we don't know. We're not sure where they played. We think the bar was here, but I'm sure it wasn't this bar. Those of you who saw the downstairs bar, that goes back to Prohibition, 1920 to 1933. The gal showed us how you could cover the front.
Oh, really?
You know, here's the key. My grandfather stayed in business during the Prohibition in Wisconsin. And you know what you did? You paid the agent off. He knew that you were selling alcohol and you had an operation. But you paid him off. So there was a tip-off when he was going to show up to inspect you. And what you did is you had to put a facade in front of the alcohol. So like what they did here is they had that revolving cover in front of in the back bar. The revolving cover that hid the alcohol bottles. My grandfather had risers on stairs between the first floor and the basement, and you put your finger in a knothole, and you could move that front of the riser, open it or close it. So you put all the bottles of hooch in there. Or you had a wall made of knotty pine. You see, and you put your finger in one of the holes in the knotty pine, whole thing slid open. You put your alcohol in there. Okay, the agent came in. Hello, Mr. Paspahala, how are you? Looks around. Yeah, I guess you're clean. All you've got here is ice cream and soft drinks. Hey, that's fine. I see you next month. Bam, off he went. Point was, you had it behind something so they didn't see the alcohol. You could not have alcohol on the back bar, which today is not really called a back bar. You could not have alcohol on the front counter, which today is called a bar, but the front counter. Couldn't have alcohol on display anywhere. So, agent comes in, doesn't see anything. But you see, they paid him off on the front end. He did his job. You did your job. He leaves, you're open for business. Pull that stuff out, put it back where you had it before. You didn't have to worry about him for 30 days.
Did you see Ken Burns' show on Prohibition here maybe 6 months ago or so? Or?
Made a big mistake, he did. And you know, he's a good guy. I was on his jazz thing on part 3 with Bix.
Yeah.
He gave me credit, tribute to Bix. I sent him some stuff. He used it, and they paid me twice to use it on the show and to use it thereafter. But he makes a mistake about the St. Valentine's Day Massacre. He talked to a fellow who has no credibility in Chicago, came here, wrote a book. It has too many mistakes in it. They didn't know that there were 2 cars for the St. Valentine's Day Massacre. One parked on Clark Street in front when they killed the 7 North Side gangsters, Capone's guys, maybe. But there was a second car, a Pierce Arrow, parked in the alley. They didn't even know about it. The point is, everyone thinks 2 fellas dressed as police officers with a couple of plainclothes guys who were really toting submachine guns, Thompson submachine guns under their overcoats, walk through the front door. Nobody would let anybody just knock on the door and walk through the front door, especially if you're in alcohol business, 1929.
Yeah.
What really happened is the car in the back, the Pierce Arrow, the delivery they were expecting, Moran's gang was expecting a delivery that morning, and two gangsters dressed as police officers followed the truck into the warehouse. When they got in, they just said, "Okay, hands up. This is a raid, you know." And they were used to that. The guys in the warehouse were used to it. Oh, you go to the wall, you put your hands up. For goodness sakes, you know, another one of these bullshit raids. Okay, but what they did is, while one of the fake policemen held a weapon, don't know, it was a shotgun, could have been a submachine gun, we don't know, on the 7 Moran gangsters. They got their hands up against the wall. The other one went through 11 cars that were in the warehouse to the front door, opened the front door, and let the guys in who had parked on Clark Street in the main car, the only one people thought for many years was involved. And in that car happened to be 1 or 2 people who were dressed as plainclothesmen who had Thompson submachine guns. They were let in through that front door. Nobody would open the front door for anybody otherwise, you see. So there were 2 cars involved.
So Burns didn't address any of
No,
that?
because he talked to a fellow who's not a Chicagoan,
Right.
came here, wrote this sensational book just 2 or 3 years ago. His last name begins with an E, only 3 letters. Ig? Ig. His name is Ig. Ig. E-G-G, or Erg, E-R-G, something like that. All full of shit. He came here, and all of a sudden he got excited. He wanted to relive Al Capone's life. And he starts writing about this stuff. And he got a hold of let's say, documents that were not released for many, many years about it. And he just put 2 and 2 together and got 8.5 or 9 or 12. So I wrote to him about this, and he never responded to me. I mean, I knew he was a sham, but I do tours, you know. I do the St. Valentine's Day Massacre walking tour, things like that.
Okay,
So I know about this. So in that respect, Burns didn't get it right, but I don't think Ken got involved in that detail. He wasn't
Yeah, he
interested in that
really
detail.
did. It's overall production, but not the...
By the way, when we do the massacre, Earl Hines recorded 2 songs that day, a block and a half away, at the Webster Hotel. And I can't think of the name of them right now because I'm half in the bag. And Earl remembered going to Clark Street and going to a music store to get some stuff in the morning. And there was a big commotion. Well, it was happening. Mind you, this took 13 seconds to mow these guys down.
Yeah.
800, 800 bullets a minute. You could, on a Thompson submachine gun. You know, and in 15 seconds or 13 or 14 seconds, you get 100 and some bullets. That's it. And who was still twitching, you give him a little shotgun blast. Boom, boom, boom. That's it. They were gone. And they were gone. Quickest exit you ever saw. So Earl remembered that. But he didn't record till the afternoon, but they rehearsed in the morning, see? So he had to pick up some stuff from a music store on Clark Street. And he remembered that. So I play the 2 recordings, original issue recordings, he made that day at the Webster Hotel
Oh, my
to start
God.
off the
That's
tour.
interesting.
Oh, Jesus, Murphy. And we had chairs. The last time I did this, we had chairs from a gal in Libertyville who has an antique shop. And she had 4 chairs that looked almost identical to the chairs you see in the famous photos where the guys are lying with the blood coming this way and that way, and their chairs turned over, and a couple of them are leaning, they're dead, leaning over the backs of the chairs. We use that because it's a parking lot now for a some sort of a city assisted living or it's not a welfare thing, but it's